Hey everybody, Ben here from Cityblock Studios, and I'm back today with another product review. Today we're looking at Golden's High Flow Acrylics. Now, most people are familiar with heavy body acrylics. They're the ones that come in tubes, and they're all over the art store in different varieties from student grade to professional and everywhere in between. But if you shop around a little bit, you might see this product from Golden called High Flow Acrylics. Now, what exactly are they? High Flow colors used to be known as airbrush colors. They're a super low viscosity paint that have a very thin ink-like quality, but a very high pigment load for a variety of applications. In addition to brushwork on canvas, they're also really good in airbrushes, dip pens, as well as some paint markers as well. If you've watched some of my videos before, and really kind of looked hard in the background, you may have noticed the Liquitex acrylic inks on one shelf, and then behind those are the Golden High Flows. I've actually been using them for quite a while, and they're really cool paints, but they definitely have some pros and cons, so let's talk about them. So to start things off, despite the low viscosity, the pigment load again is very high, so a little bit of this paint kind of really goes a long way. Back when I did my mural over on the wall beside me, which was October of 2017, so a little over a year ago, I bought this little bottle of Hansa Yellow Medium because I needed a cool yellow, and all my yellows in the studio were warm yellows. And I thought, okay, cool, I'll be able to use this on the wall and then maybe get a bigger bottle of it later. And I did get a bigger bottle of it, but it's been over a year and I still have the little bottle. And the little bottle is only 1 fluid ounce, and I'm still using it, and it's probably maybe only 2/3 gone. There's probably 1/3 of the bottle left in here, and I use it all the time in different paintings all over the place, and there's still some left in here, which is crazy. I also really love having these paints on hand because they're great to supplement a color set. So I have a certain set of colors, like 14 or 15 different heavy body colors that are my regular palette colors, but I also have a number of high flow colors, and none of those colors, with the exception of I think titanium white, match the colors that I already have in heavy body tubes. Everything is a different color. So for example, I have some alizarin crimson hue because I don't have it in the heavy body, and having that little extra bit of versatility to grab a different color to mix with is actually really valuable. These paints are also really great for mixed media applications. I'm talking going from canvas to paper to wood, mixing with other mediums, using them as highlight layers with regular traditional dye-based inks, as well as underlying layers to other projects, and then going over top of that maybe with pastel. I mean, regular acrylics can do that, but a lot of times you're going to be getting that more of a plasticky film from a soft or heavy body. This stuff you could lay down on a much thinner layer and not really have that level of effect to the absorbency of your substrate. I mean, it'll absorb in, but then you can really work over top of it or underneath it and then over top again very, very easily, and that's why I really love this stuff. As I mentioned before, these paints are great for filling markers with. I have a few Liquitex paint markers, but it's not Liquitex paint in them. It's all the Golden High Flow paint, just because it goes into the markers really well, flows out very easily, it doesn't clog. There's actually a bit of a drying agent in the paint itself in order to help with airbrush flow, so that's why it also works really great for markers. In addition to marker applications, because you're talking about a very low viscosity paint, it's very good for quick and easy glazes. So if you're looking for just a little bit of liquid color that maybe you can mix with water or a glazing liquid without having to really dab out a big blob of paint, this stuff is really, really good for that. So yeah, this paint's good for a lot of stuff, but there's definitely some downsides. Every product's going to have some downsides. Biggest one I find is that this stuff is messy. There's a mixing ball in the stuff, it separates, so you definitely have to shake it. And after you do, a lot of times when you twist the cap, you're going to get a little bit of a bubble. Now this is dried in a bit, which is another con. But so you'll take it and shake it and do this, and a lot of times you get just like a bubble of paint that comes up and drips over top of this. Now normally these little tips are white. This one that has the black on it, completely covered in black, there's spots all over it. This paint gets everywhere, so if you're whether you're a neat painter or a messy painter, this stuff will make you messier than you already are. So that's not necessarily the best thing. In addition to that little bit of a mess, again, kind of what I just mentioned here, is that if you kind of squirt some out and don't really clean the tops off, you kind of get a little bit of a paint film kind of forming over top of this, which is really easy to just take a pick or a palette knife and just kind of chip that away. But it's one of those things that it will build up over time, especially with any kind of low viscosity paint. You're going to see that. But these in particular, you're going to get that build up. It's just the way it is. Another issue with this paint is that, again, because we're talking about something that is, again, super low viscosity here, ink-like, you squirt it out, it's going to run like water, but it has surface tension. I've sort of noticed when and I love using this paint for detailing, but you take a bit of paint on a brush, especially a small brush like a liner, and dab it onto your canvas. Because it's liquidy, it's going to have a surface tension. So if you're looking for a nice, clean, simple line, go with a heavier bodied paint because you're going to be able to get those lines very thin, very simple. As soon as you drip down with this paint, you're going to have a drop on your canvas or your paper or whatever you have. A lot of times when I'm using this, I'm dipping and then wiping a little bit away on the side before I take it to paper or canvas, because I know that's going to happen, because super low viscosity liquid stuff, you have that surface tension. Now there are acrylic mediums that break surface tension, like acrylic wetting agent, but just on its own, you got to know that going in, otherwise you might have a big blob of color on your canvas and go, why isn't this soaking in? It's like, well, because surface tension, and that's how liquidy things work. And finally, sort of again on the downside here, these are golden acrylics. The same with the heavy body stuff. These are top of the line acrylic paints, so they are pricey. If you're sort of looking for an entry-level acrylic, this isn't it. This is a thing of you're using acrylics for a while and you want to try something new, then pick some of this stuff up. But this stuff is not for the faint of, not so much faint of heart, but faint of budget, I would say. If you're getting this, it is an investment. It's a good investment. I do enjoy this stuff, again, but it's pricey, and you got to know that going in. So despite their cons, Golden High Flow Acrylics are definitely a product I recommend. I don't necessarily recommend building your entire acrylic palette just with the high flows, unless maybe you're specifically doing airbrushing or just dip pen work. But if you're an acrylic painter like I am, who's known for canvas work, who does a lot of stuff with heavy body paints and gels and mediums, these are a great supplement to a set you already have. And I think for that reason, hands down, they have become some of my favorite additional tools in my studio. Plus, unlike getting a 2-ounce tube of paint that you may or may not like a color of, you can get a little 1-ouncer of these and try out a color before you're willing to buy it, maybe in a heavy body or even a significantly larger tube. These are great ways to try colors, and just being like, okay, let's try and mix with this for a while. It's like, oh yeah, I like that. That's good. Maybe I'll pick it up in one of my other viscosity lines. So if you found this little product review interesting, go ahead and hit that like button. Consider supporting my art and these videos on Patreon. Get subscribed if you're not already. And this has been from Cinderblock Studios, and I'll see you guys next time. Oh yeah, this is the sky, by the way. This big thing, all of this plus some white, the little 1-ounce bottle. That's a lot of surface area for that. And there's still some left, which is crazy.